Hey friends, you guys just listened to me go on a little spiel about Anchor. Well, when you listen to that, it helps us make a little money, a penny at a time. This money is going to be put towards buying microphones for the podcast to help make the sound quality become more enjoyable for you guys. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. We would also like to be clear that the music you hear on this podcast is not ours. We do not own the rights to any of it. Teddy is working on making the official Roughnecks Podcast audio, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Our podcast is meant to be comical, informational, interesting, and hopefully sometimes all of the above. If anything we say offends you, just know it's not intentional. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. But before we get into this week's episode, make sure you stop what you're doing, go follow us on Instagram at Roughnecks Podcast. Share our episode using the hashtag Roughnecks Podcast. We are out on many platforms now, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Go subscribe, rate, and review. Leave an honest review because we appreciate any feedback we get from you guys. If you ever have a topic idea, a question for Teddy or Cole, or just want to be a special guest, then email us at roughneckspodcast@gmail.com or message us on Instagram. But now it is time to get into this week's episode. What is going on, everybody? We are back with yet another episode. This is episode 6, and we have old Texan Teddy back here with us. I know at the end of last week's episode, I said that we would have a former Ohio State football player joining us, but we had to change some things around due to some busy schedules. So we will have him on later at a later date, and we will be back on. We are actually back on Zoom this time instead of Google Hangouts. Having some problem with Google Hangouts or Meet or whatever it's called. But we have a different special guest. Before I introduce this special guest, I want to give a quick shout out to what's called Podcast Name Here Studio. They made our new logo, which can be found on the cover of this podcast and on our Instagram. If you need any logos or graphics created, definitely hit them up. They do amazing work. I am very happy with what they made us. You can find them on Instagram at Podcast Name H and Twitter at Podcast Name Her 1. Now, I am happy to introduce our old college buddy and old captain, Christopher Bonner. Welcome to the Roughnecks Podcast, Bonner.
Bon.
You're on mute, bud.
What the fuck is that? Jesus Christ.
Doing things via Zoom. Welcome, Bonner.
What's good, fellas?
So, to start, give us a little background on yourself, where you're from, where you're at now, because I know you've been in a few different places.
Yeah, man. Bonner's traveled the world, man. Well, I'd first like to say that the Ohio State guy, I mean, let's be honest, I'm a better guest anyway. Sorry, Mr. Ohio State.
Bonner's like the Oriental Dora the Explorer.
That, you know what? I've been called that many times.
You're a fucking legend, man.
It's a go-to nickname.
Fun fact about the Ohio State guy, he's actually a safety too, so we might have to have like a little safety on safety matchup.
Oh, he does not want that problem.
You played corner, dummy.
I thought he played safety. Okay, he was a DB.
He played corner.
Damn, Cole, you got to do your research, bud.
Anyway,
I know.
All right, let's go with the background on Bonner since Teddy likes to interrupt all the time.
Yeah, so like you guys said, I moved around a lot. My dad was in the military, so I got a lot of opportunities to, live overseas and places like Korea, Germany. I don't really remember Germany, but I lived in Hawaii. That is technically in the U.S., but I guess it's technically overseas too, So I guess I would call Buffalo and Parma, Ohio home, but I mean it's hard to pick somewhere when you've moved like every 3 years of your life,
Yeah. So where are you right now, Bonner?
So I'm living in Buffalo right now.
Back home.
I moved here like my sophomore year of college. Well, my mom moved here. Obviously, I was up at OWU, running shit up there, But after I graduated, I had the choice between Cleveland and Buffalo, and I, picked Buffalo. Bills Mafia.
The Bills are actually doing well this year.
I know.
Would you say you're part of that Parma cult?
Oh, I'm part of the Dirty P for sure. I throw up the gang sign whenever I get the opportunity.
I want something described on this podcast because we forgot to mention it with Joe. What is a Parma shot?
No. But yeah.
What is a Parma shot?
All right, so a Parma shot, actually goes way back. So what it was our high school coach. He told Joe the story, but I'm just to save some time, I'm gonna say I was there too. But basically, what it is is they made this tradition back then that you would pour vodka on the opposite side of a shot glass. So there's just like the thinnest layer of vodka. Now you're probably thinking, what the fuck? Like, what kind of shot is that? But you don't take it through your mouth. You actually snort it through one nostril. And if you're from Parma and you go to OU, you got to do it, and you got to get everyone else who's in the room to do it as well. So it's definitely a fun tradition that gets brought up. Not every weekend, because my GPA would not look good if it was an every weekend thing. It's definitely like a once in a blue moon situation.
I can say I did a Parma shot, but I did not do it with vodka. I did it with beer.
Ooh,
I did it with Jack Daniels, baby.
Yeah, you boys are a little bit too country.
I did it twice.
It really clears you up.
You're not wrong about that.
And to be fair, no disrespect to anyone. To be fair, everyone who I know who has done a Parma shot does not have COVID. So
that is true.
If there's a cure, it might be that.
You're spitting major facts right now, Bon.
Parma shot is the cure to COVID. You heard it here first. Do not fact check us on this.
Yeah. No fact checking. It's definitely you got to try it out. If you haven't.
Anybody that tries a Parma shot, please record it and send it to the Roughnecks Podcast so we can mention you on our story, because that would be legendary.
But please be over the age of 21.
Well,
or
yes. We do not recommend. Yeah, we do not endorse underage drinking.
No,
never.
or underage dating. Shot Tyler Schuster.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Is there a story behind this?
You know Schuster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Schuster, we had on for episode 3, and you've heard the jokes like with his girlfriend, like how she's like 12.
I haven't, so this is news to me.
I guess
he started dating her when she was 12 and he was like 18.
No, that is not true.
No. Let's keep it.
She was a sophomore in high school and he was a senior in high school, and they've been dating since. And so
was he 18?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, he would have been 18 when she was under 18. You'll have to go listen to episode 3 to kind of hear it.
I did. You know what? I did listen to most of it, but I didn't catch the ending, so it must have been more towards.
It was more towards the end when we got into it.
There's a lot of things I didn't get to say just because I can't anymore.
If I remember correctly, I think you guys said that he has the most views, so I'm definitely trying to break that. So
yeah, Schuster, he's real high on that. He's got the most views ever from any of our podcasts. This is our second podcast, and he's got more views than we've ever had throughout history, and he's very proud of that. And I really do hope you are the one to break it, because that would just be great.
Well,
there's not a lot for that guy to look forward to.
He's also the one with the most numbers on the scale, so let's not forget that.
Yeah. The guy looks forward to either a cookie or a thing of ice cream. There's not much for that guy to fucking get happy about.
This
is like the 4th episode now that Schuster has been mentioned. Schuster must just be a popular guy.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we should just stop talking about him. You know what I mean?
Idea.
Bonner, what are you doing nowadays?
Yeah, so I got a couple jobs here, trying to just make as much money as I can. I got my own place recently, so paying rent. I'm a hardworking, tax-paying, rent-paying man now. So I currently, my main job, I'm a health coach. So basically just trying to tell people more on the nutrition side of things, just trying to tell them how to live healthier lifestyles through food. I get into activity and recommendations like that, but I mean, if you know me, it's impossible for me to put muscle mass on. So I try to stay clear from the workout instructions.
Yeah, man, me and you took a couple classes together.
We did.
You kind of always big on the health. That's a lot. I think it was like 2 every semester.
No, really, yeah. So we have the same education. You already know what I'm telling these people.
Oh, so are you just doing it like through you, or are you working for a company?
Oh no, I work for a company.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. No self business here.
What are your other jobs?
I would like to get there. You guys get free memberships.
Oh, for sure.
Man, I need to move to Buffalo then.
No. There's a reason why those motherfuckers get hyped for breaking a table. There's not much to do in Buffalo.
Ted,
I don't know.
You're the person that would do that, though.
Right. That's very true. Well, not gonna lie, all three of us would
Yeah,
probably be
it's
good.
probably fair.
I would do it naked.
That's the difference between Teddy and the rest of us.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If if he's able to show off like that, I don't blame him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't got a lot to be impressed down there, but
I'm definitely the least impressive out of the three of us.
I think we need to veer off this topic real quick. Weird things.
All right, so we talked about having Bonner on, and we got him on. But when we talked about the topic, we couldn't really come up with one. But then we finally hit us that all three of us have dealt with injuries in our senior year of a sports season. Mine was in high school, but you guys had yours both in college. So let's start with Bonner. Like, what injury did you actually have your senior year of college?
Yeah, so my injury is kind of a long story, but I'll give you guys a short version. Basically, I was having some hip pains, and it just wasn't working. I guess like when we were running our 40 tests, I would go to explode out of my my starting position, and it just literally felt like it was like asleep. So I thought, that's not good. Let me get this checked out. And it took me like a few months to finally actually be disciplined enough to go look at it. But they took some x-rays, some MRIs, and they, long story short, thought that I had a form of cancer. And then at that point, I was getting tests every weekend. Football camp started already, so I missed out on football camp, which I wasn't that mad about. Because
camp is one of the things you do want to miss.
Yeah, exactly. I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just gonna play this cancer thing out until camp is over, and then I'll be good to go. But that didn't happen. So basically, I had to get a bone biopsy, and I actually got it the day before our week 1 game. I got it in Buffalo. Basically, they made a small incision and like chipped away at my hip bone to like test it to see what was wrong. And the next day I was actually at that game, not playing, obviously. I was on the sideline, but and the results came back that I have something called Paget disease, which is basically my bone is just reforming in a unnatural way, which is going to cause problems eventually.
So, did they tell you the type of like problems that could happen?
Well, because it's not forming the way it's supposed to, it's just going to like get really brittle, kind of like osteoporosis on steroids, if I had to describe.
Really?
Yeah. So like I'm just at more injury risk if because it's like if I get hit in the hip in the hip that isn't reforming itself the way it's supposed to, then that can be a problem.
Because you got the injury, you were already like what, 22, 23?
I was probably like 21, 22, something like that.
Yeah, so I guess were they saying like your hip bone, your hip area was just underdeveloped?
They basically, so kind of the way I like to describe it is, I should probably know way more about this, but I really don't care. But you know how like you get a new skin like every however months or years or whatever it is?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with your bones, where the cells, die off and you get new cells and shit. And when it's like regenerating, it just does it, and it instead of my bones going straight up and down, like it can grow like a bow, kind of like it can get that bad. And when it does, like the blood circulation and stuff isn't as good, so it just makes that bone a lot more weaker.
That also you had hella injuries.
Yeah.
You're one of the toughest motherfuckers I know, but you, for some reason, were just like injury prone. Not even like it was your fault. Like things would happen and it'd just be like, well, shit. So what all did you have throughout college?
Throughout college, so
Wow, folks.
so freshman year, I split my head open.
Oh, can you tell why? Can you tell the story of how that happened, please?
So, you come in and you're a freshman, and freshmen get to play the JV game, and I was kind of hyped. And I don't know if it was Rubel always says it was him, but I don't think it was Rubel. I don't know who it was, but whatever. I smashed my head on their helmet, which ended up being a recurring thing throughout
Hold
my
on, wait
career.
a second. We got to reiterate. You didn't have a helmet on.
No, I did not have a helmet. Did not have a helmet. And you know, it was a little stinging a little bit, and then I turned to, I think it was Jax or one of the twins. And they were like, "Teddy, you're bleeding," and I was like, "Get the fuck out of here! Shut up!" And I touched my forehead, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm bleeding," and it just kept coming out. And I go in the locker room, and Anthony Chambers is like hyped, taking pictures, and someone told me to go to the training room. Went to the training room. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna have to give you stitches." I was like, "No, because you're gonna have to shave my head." I had a nice flow going. So that was that. And then we go into spring, and we were maxing out. And Demias was actually spotting me on bench. And I went up to, I think it was like 305.
So Demias, like 5 foot nothing,
Yes,
fast
that
as shit.
Demias.
But no offense, he's a little weak.
Yes,
He
that Demias was spotting me. And I went down with the bar, and I came back up, and I was halfway up, and my chest, my pec muscle just ripped right off. And like you can just feel the recoil. The bar came down. PD fucking let me use his van to go drive down to the training room, and Kyle said I didn't need surgery. Probably should have gotten it. Went through spring with it. I still have it torn. You can feel it rolled up. Keep going, right? I fucking go through spring, whatever. So now we're in junior year, going into camp. No, sophomore year. So that tearing my pec was my spring freshman year. Now we're going into sophomore year. I ran a post in practice, had pads on, and safety came down, hit me, like just put his helmet right in my shoulder. Felt a pop, didn't really think anything of it. Go through practice a couple days, can't really raise my arm hurts. Finally, I wake up, look in the mirror, my right collarbone is lower than my left, and fucking go tell Kyle. Kyle's filling me up and whatever. And he's like, "You separated your SC joint, which is one of the hardest things to do in football. Usually it's the AC joint." And I practiced with it for like a week, was out. I came back the week of Hiram, was doing all right in practice. And then I broke my thumb. And then we go into junior year, and we were lifting weights, something, whatever, and something popped in my back. My legs went numb, couldn't move, couldn't drive.
You sound like that dude from SpongeBob,
Which one?
the one who's like,
Oh, when they go to the hospital, he's
yeah,
my bones were made of glass. It's pretty much what it was. And then it got to, like right now, like I can't sit in a chair for an hour. The mornings suck.
So what you're saying
then
is
we
you
get-
could never have a desk job.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Even now, man, it's horrible, dude. Senior year rolls around, I'm feeling good. Probably in one of the best shapes I've been in my football career. And then
That's
we go
the
to
best shape you've been in? We were roommates, motherfucker. You did not look that good.
damn.
What are you talking about? I came back for senior year. I was fucking feeling good. My junior and senior year were probably the best shape I've ever been in college going into camp.
I will say this, Teddy. The difference between, because I didn't see you much senior year, but the difference between what you look like junior year and your freshman year, completely two different people.
Yeah. Freshman year of college going in was a lot. I was like 235, almost 240.
With that long black hair.
Yeah. And then I fucking had to grow up a little bit and realize, fuck, I kind of want to play, which fucking really never happened, which is super irritating. And so junior year rolls around, and this is actually Rubel's fault. Fucking 7 or 1-on-1s. I run a fucking. We don't have pads on. We have our jerseys and helmets. Go in, I run a stick route, 5-yard stick route, and I don't know. I think Zane threw me the ball, had it in my hands. Rubel just for some godly reason, wants to fucking tackle. Land wrong, popping my foot. My foot swelled up. Cole remembers. My foot was swollen for like 3 weeks. The bruising on it was crazy on both sides. I remember going to Kyle getting the gator. I couldn't walk. Getting out of the shower was a bitch.
Yeah, I'll never forget that next morning. I woke up, we're getting ready. I think we had meetings or something in the morning. And I walk out of my room and Teddy had just walked out. It like opened his door and I looked, he was like hobbling and I was like, what in the fuck? And I looked at his ankle and that thing was the size of a softball and black and blue. And I was like, that's not good. I'm not a medical doctor, but I can tell you that's not good.
Yeah, it was so irritating because, like, you got 2 feet, you want to use them. I fucking couldn't. Fucking irritating. And then when Kyle pulled me off to the sideline, like when I went in the training room, whatever, I go back out to the field and I'm on crutches and I'm standing next to Kyle and Kyle looks at my foot and he goes, why the fuck is the other side swelling up? I was like, I don't fucking know, dude. You're the doctor. That was fucking, and then I tore a ligament in my foot or some shit. That was my career.
I love how you said that you have 2 feet and you want to go and use them, and then just stopped right there. Like that was.
Oh yeah.
Say.
Ted's good at that. He's good at like starting something and be like, yeah, that's all I had to say.
That's all I had to say about that. But the worst part, and I don't know about you, Bonner, with your, I'm sure with you because yours is like an actual disease. But in the morning, dude, my shoulder, my fucking ankle, my back, like all that shit fucking sucks.
Yeah, no, I definitely have days where I don't even notice any pain, but the days that I do, it sucks ass. Especially like, I mean, obviously I don't go through this now, but like when you're sitting in class and you feel that injury, you can't pay attention.
No. You can't even do like homework. Like,
right. Not that I did that much anyways, but.
Well,
what the hell's homework?
Right.
It's just really fucking, it's so irritating.
No, it is. I mean,
like, I looking back, like, just for me personally, like, I wish, like, it's one of the biggest, I don't want to say regrets, but, like, just, like, wanting to play, like, all the time. And, like, I don't know, like, it's kind of one of the things, like, I still to this day, like, I understand we played D3 football, like, I get it, but just not being able to, like, show what you have. Or just being out there flying around with everybody, like it just sucks. And
it's something that's out of your control. Like that's what's the worst part is like you can't even control the fact that you got injured. Like yeah, maybe you could, but like your injuries they were from like doing what you're wanted to be able to do. So it's like one of those things that's hard to like you can't even control what happened to you. Like, especially Bonner, like he couldn't control that from happening. I mean, yeah, there might be things that you could do, but like who knew? Nobody knew. You never know that like what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like one of the hardest things to accept. That was my biggest thing is like, I just kept asking like, why did I have to get injured when I got injured my senior year? But like there's really no reason behind it, but it just happens and you just have to deal with it.
You know what really fucking sucks is, like Saturday morning, we play, right? I'm on the sideline just fucking coaching it up. We get a big win. We go back to our dorms, hit the parties and shit, and like pregame. And when everyone's talking about the game and like what they did and like funny shit that they saw and like crazy things that were going on, and you're just like, damn, I can't even be part of this conversation because I didn't even play. And it's not because I'm a bench warmer or anything. Like it's because I'm injured. You know what I mean? Like I just had no choice to sit there and watch. Well, and now everyone's talking about all the fun shit that happened, and you can't even like all you can do is be like, oh yeah, I saw that from 40 yards away on the sideline.
Yeah, it's fucking.
Or like when somebody will bring up like, oh, so and so said this on the field, like, and then like everybody on defense will like, yeah, he's like screw him, blah blah blah, and like just mess around with it. But like you can't add into that conversation.
Right.
It's like you have no clue what's happening like on the field exactly. Like you can see it, but you don't know exactly what's going on.
Right. No, it sucks. But and Teddy, I would imagine you feel the same exact way. But there are a lot of positives that came out of it too, though. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, look at
I
Teddy
mean,
now. He's a coach.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah. If you would have been a 3-year starter, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? You might be back home right now. I mean, maybe you're in the same exact position you're in, but like,
Well,
who knows?
I've never really thought like, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it, it's just you come here and then you, especially building relationships like with you, Bonner, and Cole and everyone, like you just want to be like having that moment where you're playing with all like the guys that you basically just built a family with. And I just think like not being able, like whatever snaps I maybe got through 4 years, I maybe got maybe 20 snaps in 4 years. And like I'll cherish every single one of them just because it's like these are the people I did it with. It has nothing to do with like what I did, but we all worked together and I was able to contribute with them.
Yeah,
I
100%.
think that feeling is crazy. And like now, yeah, like I love coaching. I love doing it.
Well, when you look
But
at it, Ted, it almost like, because like, I mean, at least from my eyes, it almost accelerated your coaching career. Because yeah, you weren't a player for say, you were a player coach. You're almost like Max, who we're gonna have on next week. Like you're a player coach, so you're learning about your career a lot more right there. Like you're learning how to handle things and how to coach your players up, because that's what you have to do now. That's your role that you fell into through everything. Is you gotta help. That's like, because like there's no. There's two different ways you could have gone. You could have either just, quit and just said, screw this. Like, there's no point anymore. I'm not playing. So what's the matter? Or you can accept the role that you have as a mentor and a coach and a leader.
and that's I'm not a quitter exactly.
And that's something like I look up to both of you, because like I'm younger than both of you and both of you experienced things your senior years. But like, especially Chris, like I could go ask him any question about safety throughout practice or in a game, and he would be able to tell me. And that was one of the best things. And like, even with Teddy, like we had times last year where we butted heads, but it was you coaching me. And I didn't want to accept that you were coaching me. And we still do it probably a little bit now because, we're really good friends and you're my legit coach now. So it's like, but like, that's one of the things, like you guys have helped make me who I am, like as a player and as a person. So that's one of the things, like I look up to you guys when it comes to this aspect, because it's like a really big thing and it had an impact on my life.
Well, don't tell Bo that we made you because he'll lose his shit.
Oh, come on now. Bo knows more about football. God. It's ridiculous. But yeah.
Bo's really fucking smart. But yeah, like,
and he's strong as fuck. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him lift, but
yeah,
anytime I see him start working out, I get pissed and leave.
He doesn't even stretch. It makes no sense.
His warm-up is using 50-pound dumbbells, doing front raises for 20 reps, and then benching 315 for 10.
Makes literally no sense.
That is the Bo Heineman lift. Yes. He's a fucking legend.
I do appreciate you saying that, Cole, and like,
yeah,
definitely going through that. Like, you're like, I mean, you hit it right on the head. Like I was a little, when I knew I wasn't going to be playing, and I knew I was going to have to step into that like coach role, student coach role. Like it made me a little uncomfortable. Like I didn't want to, because I was so close with a lot of people on the team. You guys, I mean, you guys know everyone who I hung out with. Joe, Harv, Smaz, Leach, all these guys who are playing. And now all of a sudden I got to tell them what to do. And then I knew it was the right move when like people like yourself, Cole, were asking me. Like I didn't have to go to you. You would come to me. What week was it when you started your sophomore year?
DePaul
was when Mario got hurt. It was the following game was my first start. So I think
so we'll just say DePaul though. We'll just say DePaul because you played really good that game, and like the fact that you were able to like and you were very aware that you were having a good game. Like Mario went down, you stepped up, you were playing well, you knew you were playing well.
I was shitting my pants both literally and figuratively. Because that was the shit game.
that game was insane. One of the craziest games I've ever watched. But but the fact that like you were out there playing and you didn't get like a big head and were able to come to someone like me and like ask what to do in certain situations, like that's how I knew like, okay, you know what, maybe this isn't such a bad thing.
Yeah, Cole, that's I think the best things is you never really got a big head. I mean, still to this day.
Maybe
I
a
mean,
little bit when he starts
if you-
drinking.
Yeah, if you ask my mom, it might be different. Like anybody in my family might disagree, but it's not as bad as my brother's.
There you go.
I don't know.
You've met Clayton once. How do you know?
Damn.
No, I've met Clayton more than once.
I guess he has been up on campus a couple times.
I've been to his house twice.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, yeah, if I start drinking, it might be a little different, but for the most part, I do appreciate that because that's one thing. Like, you know, my mom and my dad, like they kind of taught me is like not to get a big head, like. And I've tried, like I have times where it happens, but I try like to not let myself get too cocky, I guess. I try to stay humble rather than cocky.
You know who, not trying to, I guess I'm not changing the subject too much, but you know who is the most humble person?
Who's that?
Coach Delaney. Coach D.
Yeah.
When we're in the middle of a game, it'll be like 4th and 3, like coming down to the final score. Our defense is out there. He calls a timeout. He is so like confident in him, like the team, and so like far from arrogant. Like he will dead ass huddle us up and be like, "What do you guys want to run?" And
Yeah.
like
That was one
give us-
thing that I loved about it is he'd always ask, "What do you guys want to do? What works?" Like
Right.
it wasn't like, "Oh, we're gonna do this because I said it." It was what he wants feedback from the players because that's one of the things. Like you're on the sideline, you can't necessarily see what's happening. You can see a little bit, but you don't know exactly what's happening on the field.
Right. He will take advice from. It doesn't matter. He's been coaching this game for so long, and for him to look at a 19-year-old kid and say, "Is this working? Is it not? What do you want to run? What do you feel comfortable with?" Like that just shows like how humble he is.
Yeah, Coach D's just now being able to be with him, like within meetings, like Coach D. His defensive mind is probably one of the best in college football.
Talk about somebody who knows football. That man, and he can name off every rule that you can think of. If it's a rule, he knows it.
He doesn't even have a cheat sheet
No.
in the game.
No, he's a freaking genius, and then he knows like he's a player's coach. He's a very even keel player's coach.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I think that's one of the best things about the whole staff is they're all players coaches.
Right. And
like, they're all about like just letting like right now like letting me and you when we were hurt coach and like having a role and still being a part of the team and actively wanting to know if we were okay and whatnot. Like
right.
Well, I can almost guarantee, especially this year, like, I mean, I guarantee people, I mean, obviously it's hard to sometimes tell, like Teddy was a senior last year. You just look like a coach for the incoming freshman. But like, and then like, cause there's been times I've said like, told Teddy like, shut the fuck up or called him a bitch or something. And like some of the freshmen began to look at me like, holy shit, like, did he really just talk to a coach like that? And I'd have to be like, oh yeah, we lived together last year. Like this is like,
yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah. But then like you look at somebody like Max too, like Max is like, I guarantee some people don't even know he's still a student.
Right.
No.
It doesn't help that he looks 12. I mean, that's my boy, but
that's true.
Funny story about that kind of though. When my first day back to, because I came up to, when I was going through all those tests, I came up to camp like for like 2 days in the middle of camp just to say what's up to everyone and be around you guys. And we had, I don't know, like 3 or 4, maybe 5 freshman DBs, and none of them, because I was a senior at the time, none of them like came up to me, talked to me, nothing like that. And finally, somebody came up to me, a freshman DB, and I was like, damn, like, why aren't you guys introducing yourself to me and shit, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, and he said, because fucking Cole went around telling them that I was a fucking hard ass and I didn't joke around and I was a captain and totally lying. Like, I'm not like that. Like, I mean, I can be serious, but he went around telling everyone yeah, you don't want to fuck around with Bonner. Like, he doesn't joke around like that. He's a captain, this and that. And then none of these kids wanted to talk to me because they thought I was going to be on their ass.
Hey, Captain Bonner. It's still on Instagram as Captain Bonner for me.
Is it?
On your birthday your birthday post that I made one year, it was Captain Bonner.
That's hilarious. I don't even know how.
Bonner is you've always been a leader, Bon.
Oh, thanks,
Oh, yeah.
buddy.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate that.
So I guess like what I want to know is like what made you get in, like what made you, like you kind of talked about it, Bonner, about like when you finally had that moment, like I guess like when do you know like to accept the role, or like what are advice to people who are experiencing things, like even if they're freshmen experiencing injuries, like accepting the role of, you know, you're injured but you can still be a key member of this team?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps if you're a little more older. Like, I know if I was in that situation freshman year, I probably would have been a lot more bitter about it. But I think just really realizing that you literally can't do anything about it. So you might as well just try to make the best of it. And like the reason why like I was even able to like do a decent job at like filling that role is because like I was already so close with everyone on the team, like building that relationship with you, with, like I said, everyone I named, with Teddy, with Shane Quinn, those guys, you know what I mean? Like the fact that I was so close with them on and off the field, like that's what actually probably made it the easiest. Like if I didn't really know you guys all like that and like outcasted myself, and you know, I probably would have not been able to talk to you guys the way I did, you know?
What about you, Teddy?
Man, for me,
I mean, because even as like when you weren't playing, you were still banging heads. You were still banging your head. I'll never forget. You came up to me and like did it a little bit, and I was like, "Jesus, Teddy, like chill. Like I'm the one about to play, and you're the one more jacked up than I am."
yeah, for me, it's like Watts kind of let me. I don't want to. It started when I was a sophomore when I first got hurt, and I guess it just goes back to my greatest quality. My three greatest qualities as a football player were I love football. I would consider myself tough, and I always knew the playbook. And so I think you just put those together. I just wanted to be around it, and I was like, all right, this is where I'm at. Let me coach, or let me just make my position group as good as it gets. And these are, at the end of the day, everyone on the team is my friend, and I want them to do good because then we win, and like everyone has a good time. Like everyone loves Saturdays after we won, Saturday night. It was a great time. Now, if we're talking about accepting it, I had a very hard time accepting it. And the reason why is because like I just wanted to play so fucking much. Like it killed me. Like I would lose sleep over it. I still lose sleep over it now, like just thinking about like you should have fucking played. Like you should have.
And especially like when you get into it and it's your senior year, like
Yeah.
especially in college. Like me, I was lucky enough that I guess I'll call it lucky enough, is my senior year of high school was when I got hurt. And I still got the chance to come here. But then, like, you know, I kind of, you know, and then now we go look at it. My senior year of football of college kind of got taken away too. Not even for an injury, but like it also kind of goes back to show like things are out of your control. And it's what the E plus R equals, or whatever
Outcome.
yeah, E plus R equals O, or whatever it is. And it's your reaction and how you handle it is what controls everything. Like I could have easily said, screw it, I'm not even coming back this semester. And you just have to I feel like you have to make the most of what you're given, is I feel like what you have to do with everything that you're handed. Like, especially because like you experience things and there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to make the most of it.
Yeah. And like, yeah, especially if it's something you love. Like you really find out how much you love something when I guess you can't fucking do it anymore. And that's what Kyle tried to get me to understand. Like, hey, like, don't you want to play catch with your kid? And I was like, fuck my kid, dude. I can play catch sitting down.
That's true.
Like I just wanted to play. Like you don't think past 20, you don't think past 25, and that's where it was. And then finally, I was laying down. we just got done playing someone. I could barely take my pads off. Went home. I was laying down. I was like, I could not fucking move. Like, I was in so much pain. I was like, I don't think, like, I think this is it. Like, I just pushed it to a limit to where I just couldn't go. Like, it's really shitty when you're like 23 and you move wrong, getting up out of bed, and like you gotta call your mom to help you pick you up.
Dude, I
And
fucking have to help myself.
yeah, like it's like, dude, I'm not even 25, 26 yet. Like, but you gotta understand, like, football, there's a place for everyone. And I don't know how it is with other sports, but in football, it's more than 100% more than when you're playing. Like, you build relationships with people. You're there to learn, in all honesty, like, beyond everything. And when you get to a point where you can be in a position to help others gain sort of the knowledge and kind of maturity, and let them learn from your mistakes, that makes the whole game better. And like, it's like last night with the scrimmage, like, I wasn't playing at all, but there was something about, like, actually, like, this is the tight end group is actually my group now. Like, I'm their coach, and watching those guys put on the jerseys, watching those guys fly around and make catches and make blocks for 20-yard runs, like, that shit gave me goosebumps. And like, it's like, I'm a part of this, and these are my guys, and all I want to do is see them succeed. And it's one of the coolest feelings in the world. And I always thought, like, I would kind of regret, like, envy. That'd be the word. I would envy it, but I didn't think about that at all last night. You know, one of my guys put on 33, and I was so stoked for them. Like, dude, go do way more than what I did in that number. Go ball out, go be you. And just watching, especially like the young guys, it's the coolest thing when you can get a kid that comes in the short amount of time we had and see him just grow and develop. It's like, we had 15 practices, and when I watched those young guys do that, I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And you just got to understand, like, football from a player perspective isn't forever, but the game is forever. And you can be a part of it, and you can find your place for it, because there is a place for everyone, no matter what it is. Like, if you're in a higher level and you're a quality control coach or a scout, strength and conditioning, a trainer, a position coach, head coach, coordinator, like, whatever, there's a place for it where all types of guys respond to you.
Well, like you said, like, the game never ends. Like, I mean, look at this now. Like, Teddy, you graduated last year. Chris, you graduated what, 3 years ago now? 2 or 3 years ago? 2 years.
Yeah, something like that. I really hope it's not 3 years, making me feel old.
I don't remember what it was. A
not
couple
3
years ago.
2
years ago. Like, and now we're all sitting here still talking. Like,
Right.
and you see people, like, alumni come back to our games, like, because we have a big alumni connection, and like, you see a lot of alumni, and then they'll connect, and like, they all talk. Like, the connection never ends.
No.
And even with high school football, like, that connection never ends. And one of the things I want to touch on is, Teddy, you kind of started to go at it, but it was, even if you don't play, you still have a role on every team.
100%.
Because like my freshman and half my sophomore year, I didn't play besides special teams. And but I like kind of accepted the fact, like, you are the scout defense, but you are what is making that team better. Like, just because you're on scout defense doesn't mean you're like, it just means you're not ready, or there's someone honestly better than you in front of you. It doesn't mean that you're not a good player. It means, like, you have potential. And if you're on the scout defense, that means they want you, like, they trust you, and they know you're going to make the team better. So, like, it's one of those things that you have to accept that role. It sucks. It does suck not playing. It sucks sitting on the sidelines on Saturdays and not playing. But you have to accept the role that you have and make the most of it. That's one of the things, like, I kind of want, like, my big thing is make the most of what you are given.
Exactly. Like, and that's just life in general.
Oh, yeah. I got two quick things real quick. I mean, you both hit it on the head. There's nothing better when you can't play but you're on the sideline, and I know both of you guys know what I'm talking about, but especially you, Teddy, just because, I mean, you're coaching more than either of us ever have. But when you're on the sideline and because the physical aspect of everything, you don't have to worry about. So that, like, you get the opportunity to learn so much about the mental aspect of the game. And when you're on the sideline in the middle of a game and you yell out the exact play that the offense is about to run, and then they run it, and like, someone out on the defense heard you say that. If there were multiple times where, and I'm not, I'm not a football Einstein or anything, but like there were a lot of times where Cole was out on the field and I would yell, Cole, he's about to run a blah, blah, blah route. He's about to run a corner. He's going to run a post, because
right.
I don't have to. Yeah. And it happens. And there's no better feeling than that, because I mean, I'm helping the team, not physically, but mentally.
Mentally. Yeah.
And number two, quick story with Teddy. I don't know if you remember this, but just because we were talking about your injuries, I'm about to make us sound like meatheads, but we were in the weight room one morning, working out. It was like after class or something. We weren't working out together, but we were just lifting. We were talking, and then you were like, yeah, I don't know. It was my senior year, your junior year. Like, yeah, I don't know if I should play next year, this and that. Like, I know I want to, but everyone else, they're saying I should consider my future. And I looked at you and I go, Teddy, you're a grown-ass man. Do whatever you want. And you were like, you know what? Yeah, that's why I fucking love you, Bonner. And then there was like a 10-second pause where no one said anything. And then I go, yeah, but you probably shouldn't play. And you're like, yeah, probably not.
That is, Bonner, that is always your thing, is you're a grown-ass man. You say that.
Yeah, but you should probably
hang it up.
Yeah, you were doing curls or something. Wearing like an orange cutoff.
You got it.
So that's a wrap on this week's episode of the Roughnecks Podcast. Honestly, this might have been, I think without a doubt, the best episode we have ever made. It has a little bit of everything. Thank you, Bonner, for joining us for this week for the 6th episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
This was really good, Bonner. Really good, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm coming for you, Tyler Schuster. And then Ohio State kid, whenever you want it, you let me know.
I want to say, me and Teddy want to say thank you to everyone who listens to the podcast. We really do appreciate everything you guys do to help us grow. So make sure you go follow us on Instagram at Roughnecks Podcast. And when you share these episodes, use the hashtag Roughnecks Podcast, and be sure to add us. Make sure that you tune in to next week's episode, which will possibly have a giveaway. We'll more than likely have a giveaway. But for now, Roughnecks out.
Hey, Chicklets.